please.
Good morning. I'm Janie Humphreys. I'm a member of the KCK Board of Education. I'm here today to welcome you to our final listening tour. We will start with a video that our president had made for us. She unfortunately was not able to be here today.
Good afternoon. My name is Brenda C. Jones. I am the president of the Kansas City, Kansas Board of Education, and I would like to welcome you to the Board of Education listening session. This month and next, as we begin the process of transitioning to a new superintendent, we're hosting listening sessions across Kansas City, Kansas, in order to hear what you want for your schools and for this community. Our district has a clear vision. We're striving to be one of the top 10 school districts in the nation. We know that we have achieved our vision when we reach our district goal. Every student will exit high school prepared for college and careers in a global society. We know our students are prepared when they graduate Diploma Plus. A student who graduates Diploma Plus will graduate with a high school diploma and one of the following additional endorsements: completion of at least one full year of college, completion of an industrial recognized certificate or credential, at least a 21 on the ACT or 1060 on the SAT, completion of a qualified internship or industry approved project, acceptance into the military, completion of IB diploma program or career-related program, an approved plan for post-secondary transition. We will reach our goal through our mission, inspiring excellence, every grown-up, every child, every day. That work begins in preschool, where we work to build a strong foundation in academic and social emotional skills. At the elementary level, we focus on building strong literacy skills and leadership development. At middle school, our students experience project-based, hands-on learning, career exploration, and college and industry visits. As students enter our high schools, which are organized into career and college academies, they participate in real-world experience tied to their career interests. They get to choose the academy that matches their interests, from civil engineering and architecture to health informatics. From teaching as a profession or law enforcement and public safety, and for Sumner Academy students, the full International Baccalaureate Diploma. Today, we want to hear from you about our work and about how we can strengthen it. We look forward to hearing your thoughts and ideas. Thank you for coming.
Once again, I want to thank all of you for being here. I'm Janie Humphreys. I'm a board member. Today, here with me is Miss Wanda Brownlee Page, Mr. Harold Brown, Miss Maxine Drew. Our other members were unable to be here for various reasons, but there's 4 of us here to listen to you, and we will share all the information that you give us with them. It is a listening tour, so we're here to listen to you for your concerns and your joys in our district. Mr. Goheen, our counsel, will be running the show for us, so I will turn it over to him.
Thank you, and as Ms. Humphreys indicated, we thank you all for coming out on this sort of cold, dreary April day. I'm not sure that the weather people didn't get the calendar completely screwed up. But we appreciate everybody coming out and taking the time to express concerns and inputs, ideas, things that they want to bring to the board's attention. And we hope that this is a productive process, and we encourage everybody to express their opinions, and both good and bad, about things that are going on in the school district, so that we can listen to them and try to take directional steps as a district as a whole to move forward as a better district. One of the things as we get going here, I want to make sure that we are all, have everybody have the opportunity to say what they want to say, but at the same time because it's an open public meeting, if you have concerns or things that you want to talk about that relate to a specific student or a specific person with the district, we would ask that you not share the names of those individuals. We certainly have administrators here who can talk to you about those specific concerns at a later point. We just don't want individual names being broadcast out on an open public meeting for privacy concerns for those individuals, particularly the students as that relates to them. So with that said, I was going to have somebody from the PTA. Is that Ms. Russell? Who's going to give a little bit of talk from the perspective of the Kansas City, Kansas PTA Association.
Good morning. My name is Rachel Henderson Russell. Whew, I'm still struggling with that name change. But I am the president of the KCK Council of PTA here in KCK. I just got reelected for a second term, so you all have to put up with me in 2018 as well. But I really just wanted to come up here real quickly. I didn't want to share the same thing I shared on Saturday, but I get the opportunity to work with many different PTAs around our community and helping them grow, find innovative solutions to solve real-world problems that we as schools face, that we as families face. We all know that parent engagement, student engagement, and community involvement looks different today. And so PTA is really here to help embrace and help the school district in finding new solutions and innovations to be able to help all of us get what each and every one of our child deserves. I appreciate the board inviting us to be a part of this experience with them and to help them as we look for our next superintendent, which is going to be really tough. But I also want to encourage each of you to know that we are going to not always be in agreements. We are going to have conflicts or things that come up that we don't just have to wait for these listening tours. We don't have to just wait for a board meeting, that we actually as a community have every right and have every reason to voice our opinion and to also be our own problem solvers. So it's not up to us to expect the administration here or the board to do everything, but part of being a part of this community is being able to work with each other and finding ways to communicate. So with that, I'm going to close, and I look forward to hearing everything that each of you has to share today. But I will encourage you to attend one of our KCK Council meetings in the next school year. We meet the fourth Thursday of every month here at Central Office. You can find us on Facebook. We have a newsletter, as well as all of these wonderful individuals have my contact information. If you have any questions or need support, you can email us at kckcouncilpta@gmail.com.
Thank you very much. And we can't emphasize enough how important the PTA is to the school district as a whole. It gives every parent an opportunity to voice concerns on a regular basis and to participate actively in the schools that the PTAs are active in. We have both individuals who are here present today in person. We also are streaming live on some social media sites, so we will accept questions or comments from social media as well. The way the system works is if you want to talk, give your name in the back somewhere so that I can get your name, and then I'll call you out, and then I'll pass you the microphone so that you can express your concerns to the board. The first person I have is Stephanie Hansen. Stephanie?
Well, good morning.
Good morning.
How to follow Rachel is kind of challenging because I recruited her in 2010, and she's just blossomed ever since. So I don't really have a whole lot of concern. My thing is more appraisal. But I want to give you just a little backdrop of my past. I am a graduate of Career Learning Center, which was an opportunity for me to graduate in the KCK Public School District in 1995, where I couldn't conform to a large class. I had problems adjusting with large number of kids at Wyandotte High School. Also, there was a lot of problematic children then, should say adolescents. So that opportunity was set for me, and that was great because then I just blossomed. I am the typical teenage pregnancy high school graduate. I graduated in 1995 with a daughter that has now graduated from Sumner Academy. At the age of 21, I was pregnant again with my son, and he graduated in let me do the math here. I want to say it was 2016 from Sumner Academy. So as a parent coming through the district and as a student coming from the district, I was one of those problematic children that was easy for me to walk into Wyandotte High School and walk right out the back door because we didn't have the security or the staff to not necessarily care, but to be there to say, hey, how are you doing today? Or is there something you need help with? They were so busy engaging in other problems that our students at that time growing up in the district was kind of not left behind, but just set aside. So my mission as a parent was to keep myself as involved as I possibly could with my children. My parents were a police officer for KCK. My mother was a nurse in the KCK school district. They were so busy that they really didn't engage with me and my brother and sister. So as part of that, I made it a mission to be that parent. So now here I have a son at Argentine Middle School. And at first I was kind of reluctant to send him to Argentine. And you probably sit here and ask why. But in the past, it's because of gossip, rumors that we hear about how bad our district is and how bad the teachers are and how bad drugs and gangs are. Well, that's what I grew up with. I grew up with the drugs and the gangs in the schools. They're everywhere. Now it's more bullying. We have more problems with bullying and parents that aren't as engaged as I feel they should be. When I go to a basketball game or I go to a volleyball game, there's just a selective few of us parents that are in that stand. When I was in school, we had pep assemblies. There were students filling those stands and rooting our kids, and it was phenomenal, the engagement that we had from the community and from other students and from other parents. We've lost that somehow. And so my biggest challenge today and my biggest mission today is to try to figure out a way to get parents more involved and to get students more involved with their fellow classmates. How can we do that? How can we do that as a community? How can we do that as a whole? Teachers, I've looked online to see why they're only allowed to, why can't they be at every game with our students? Why can't they be more involved in our community? Well, they have families too. They do have families, but what can we do to engage them more in outdoor activities? Miss Battle was my volleyball coach at Central Middle, and she was one of my biggest inspirations growing up. And she actually is the one that helped guide me to do the better things in my future as a parent because she kept engaged. She wasn't just a coach. She was a parent to some of us that struggled. And so I challenge some of these teachers to reach out to some of these problematic children that are struggling at home with things that they don't get to talk about or they are afraid to talk about that they're dealing with at home, whether it be starving or being abused or whatever it may be. Some of these teachers see it. They don't want to talk about it. But we have counselors. We don't have enough. And as I'm pursuing education up at Kansas City Community College, my biggest problem now is what area I want to go into, whether it be criminal justice, social work, or working within the district. And so today, my biggest thing to you, board, is we need more social workers. We need more counselors. Mental illness is real. It's a problem within our students. My son has a serious depression, and he deals with it in ways that he's very active. And every time he has a depression episode, he's at the gym. So we have an outlet, but we need more outlets for these kids. So that's my challenge to you. And I just want to commend everybody for coming out, and I am just as nervous can be. But I want to tell you that PTA is everything to us, and I want to get away from PTOs. I'm not saying they're a bad thing. I'm just saying I want to get away from them. PTA is everything. So, again, thank you so much for listening, and I'm sorry if I took too much of your time. But as you look at me, just know that I am a success story within the District 500, and I have 2 children right now that are a success story to this district, and I have 1 more that I'm fighting for to be that successful. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Next person I have, and I will probably not pronounce this name correctly, is it Thada? I'm not sure how the last name is pronounced. Thdah, and I think it's Htoo. No? Going once? Going twice? Okay. Next I have Monica Cabrera.
Good morning. My name is Monica Cabrera. I am a social work student at KU, and I am a parent of 2 kids in District 500. And we came today to talk to the board about sexual abuse prevention programs. I am not sure if there's any in place right now in the district. My oldest daughter is in 1st grade, so I'm not sure if she is learning about sexual abuse. We thought it's important, so we came to advocate for that. And this is Jennifer.
Yes, and I'm also a social work student at the University of Kansas. So currently in the state legislature, there's the House Bill 2048 that is currently trying to be passed, which is going to equip schools to have education that's not just at the preschool and kindergarten level. Right now, this Sunflower House that's in Kansas does have Happy Bear program, but we recognize that the need for education for sexual abuse needs to be throughout a child's school years. So that's what we're kind of advocating out here for and wanting to educate not only parents but also the school board on the importance of it. One of the biggest pushbacks right now in the legislature is the cost and funding. And we've noticed that in other districts they've been able to work with their PTAs and things like that to be able to support the funding for that need.
We've done some research and put together a policy brief, which we passed out to the board here. And I mean, it's a real thing. It's still going on, unfortunately. And I mean, statistics show that kids are even abused during school hours. So this is definitely something that we think should be addressed. And it should go throughout, like Jennifer said, throughout their school years, not just elementary or younger kids, but also kids in high school. Teaching them about preventing it, teaching teachers on how to recognize a child that is being abused. So that is what, and I would agree with our previous speaker here about the need for more social workers in the district. That's definitely something that we want to suggest too. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Beth. Okay, thank you. Next up I have, is it Rachel? I understand you have to leave. I'm sorry.
You know, I come from a whole nother town. My son went to Sligo. He didn't make it in Sligo, I'll be honest. And it's right across the street. But y'all want to see a lot of good improvement? People need to think about helping out Fairfax. Yes, we don't have no money, and I'm proud to admit it. I'm not ashamed of it. But since my son has went to Fairfax, he has graduated. He has went to college. And right before he graduated, the principal went out on a limb, Mr. Richard, And he got my son a full-time job and got him into college. And not only that, but this year he took, and I know for a fact because I was there, signing paperwork for my son for college and everything else, and my daughter wants to go there. He ended up taking money out of his own family's pocket to feed 8 other students lunch. Because it's not just me, but my neighbor, her son goes to Fairfax. They live in the same neighborhood. They don't have a lot of money. And for a principal to step up, take money out of his own pocket to feed a lot of these kids, I have to recommend him because it takes a lot of guts. Most people won't take money out of their pocket and go help another student. This principal helps all those students. Doesn't matter if they need clothes, if they need a lunch, or what it is. I remember the time when he went and got my son a full-time job. Went to the interview with my son and all. He didn't have to do that, but he did. And when he did it, the day before, he went and bought my son the clothes to go to an interview. Now, I would ask all of y'all, how many of you would step up to the plate, take money out of your own family's mouth, and do something like that? Seriously. Maybe 10 out of 100? This principal didn't care. My daughter has to go to Sligo. She is begging me, and she wants me to talk to the school board to let her go to Fairfax. She don't qualify, though, because my daughter don't have no learning disabilities like my son did. But y'all want to stand here and support the school system? Let's close a lot of these schools that ain't doing nothing with the kids. Let's help give more funding to a school that's taking money out of their own pocket, not to give them an education, but to help the students. Because last I heard, we all here for the students. We all here to make it a better society. Put your kids into Fairfax and you'll see how much better it's going to be. And I please beg all of you school members on the school board, let's help support Fairfax. They actually care, love, and will do anything for these students. My son was suspended over and over from Sligo. He even got assaulted 3 times. I had to take him to a hospital because of that. Since he went to Fairfax, he's graduated, got a full-time job, headed to KCK Community College. Those people actually care about him. We don't need more counselors. We don't need more teachers. We need more people that care for all of our kids, that will stick up for the kids nowadays. How many of you that went to school in my time back in 1990, how many of you had a principal go help put you in college, help get you a scholarship, help get you a job, help buy you interview clothes? What about when we didn't have money and our parents couldn't afford to buy lunch? How many of the principals went and bought lunch for the kids? Honestly, I can answer it. None of them did. But Mr. Richard, over at Fairfax, will do it in a heartbeat. And you don't have to ask. You don't have to beg. He seen my son come in one day, didn't have nothing. Him and Mr. Simmons took turns on buying my son something to eat. They both took turns on supporting us as a family. They stood up for my son. They will accept my daughter, but due to her not having a learning disability, they can't. So now what? She got to go to Sligo and get assaulted like my son, get put in the hospital over and over before anybody will see it's not a good school. What about Washington? Somebody brought a taser to school, went to hit one kid, ended up hitting 6 kids. Where do you see and hear that besides Fox 4 News? or when the kids come home and tell you about it. I will promise you 100%, you don't have none of that BS at Fairfax. Y'all really want to get the help and get these kids a good education? I'll be honest. You need to call Fairfax and talk to the principal. Now my son is doing really good with the full-time job and going to college. He might be going to night college, and I'm not fond of that because I got to transport him. But you know what? He's taken up automobile classes. He's kept his full-time job. And the principal called me last night, Mr. Richard, I know your son don't come here. Do you need anything, though? How many principals call the parents with something good? How many teachers called you with something good about your child? None, but Fairfax. So would you all please, on the school board, help donate to Fairfax? Help take care of Fairfax. They're the ones giving kids an education and making them become something. They did it for my son. It's pretty bad. My daughter wanted me to beg y'all to go to Fairfax. And I already know y'all are going to turn me away. But please support them. I can at least ask for that.
Thank you.
First, I want to say thank you for sharing your story, and we felt it from the heart, and you're sincere. But I want you also to know there are teachers at the other schools who are doing a lot of the same things that they're doing at Fairfax. It's not to take away anything that you said because you spoke from your heart. That was your experience. And I've heard a lot of good things about Fairfax as well. But from my own teaching experience for 30 years, I watched teachers wash clothes, pay bills. They may not be broadcasting it, but they are doing it. And you're right, we all need to reach out because most of us profess to be Christians and we're supposed to reach out and help, and people are doing it. You may not hear about it, but believe me, they are doing it. And they're buying books, they're paying light bills, you name it, they are helping. Now, true, we got to do more because there's a lot to do. And you're right, we got to try to figure out what we can do because all of the other previous speakers all commented on some things that we've been trying to talk about. Social workers, healthcare, trying to get more people out, trying to reach out more. So I don't want you to think that it's not happening in other places. But you're right, we got to do something. And we got to try to help all of our kids. And that's why we're having this listening tour, to hear from you, and to look at what we need to work on. And don't think it's not being talked about. We're working on it. And it's going to take a little time. But if we all pitch in, right. You're helping, teachers are helping, administrators, in the community. We need everybody, whether you have kids or not, in the system. It's going to take all of us to make it work. And again, thank you for sharing. And I hope that we can begin to address some of those issues.
And I also like to add that we didn't arrive at this point overnight. It took some time. But what we're trying to do now is to bring about that change. And we're going to try to reach out. We would like for you to be supportive. We recommend that you talk to the principal at the school where your daughter is going to try to come up with a plan that will make some changes for her. And just like you're supporting your son and your daughters, our school district is going to support you. But we will make some changes, but we're going to, as Wanda said, we were going to need the help of everybody. I appreciate you coming sincerely. What comes from the heart reaches the heart, yeah. And that's what you did today. And again, I say thank you.
Okay, next up I have Mary Ricketts.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I am Mary Ricketts. I sit on our KCK board. Good to see you. Along with Rachel, and I sit on our state board for PTA. Saturday, I felt like I fussed a little bit, so I'm not going to do that today, but I did want to address our community support. One of the privileges we have of being a PTA is that we get the opportunity to reach out to the business community and ask for their support. And I applaud you. I'm trying to hold back the tears. I saw a couple of us wiping as well, because it does hurt. It ought to break your heart a little bit when we hear the stories of what's going on in some of our schools. But I challenge us as a community to step it up and actually support our neighbors. We shouldn't have to hear another story of a sixth grader flunking out of school. We shouldn't have to hear another story of tasers at school. We shouldn't have to hear another story of someone being sexually abused in the back hall, around the corner, down the stairs, underneath. We should not have to continue to hear those stories. So I challenge us as a community, how can we best support our school board? And I'm going to go back to a little bit of what I said Saturday. I need us as parents to be parents.
Amen.
Oh, y'all done got quiet. I felt like I was at church. We have to step it up as parents. We know if we're dropping the ball. And can I help you all with some? It's not Fairfax parents. It's us as parents across the community. We know if we're being too busy to make sure that we're not involved with our kids. We know if we're not checking school loop to see if they're missing assignments. If I asked how many of us are parents in the room, how many of us have children in the school district? How many of us are on school loop? Oh, so good. I'm assuming the rest of us are teachers and administrators. Is that fair? No, okay. Community, grandparents, yes. This is our time that we can actually show up and shine in the dot. When I spent my morning this morning reaching out with Kansas City, Kansas, our downtown shareholders, you know what I'm talking to them about? I need some help. We need some financial support. When I look at foundations in some of the other school districts, I'm like, oh, we need some money. PTA, we are looking at trying to host additional events and additional support avenues for our parents. Every parent, we didn't get a book. Well, we did. I'm not going to talk about that. It's called BIBLE. But we have some other things that we need to do to step it up so that we can help. If you know it's one of your neighbor's kids who are cutting up, reach out and figure out how you can help and support that parent. Let's not talk about them. Let's not kick them to the curb. Let's not just say, well, you know, that's that little bad kid over there. No, but such were some of you. That was some of us that struggled in school. We have a very diverse community. I know we have over 70. Where's Dr. Strickland? He's not in here now. Oh, we have, was it over 70 plus languages here in the district? Can you imagine being a refugee from anywhere, and this is where you land, and you're not sure how everything works? We need to help our neighbors. We need to step it up. We need to support our PTAs. Our PTAs and PTSAs are a great avenue for parents and teachers and students to be supported. I know there's some faces in here that I'm hoping they're going to speak as well. I'm just looking on this side. But we need your support. We're here to support you. We're asking you to support us. Thank you.
Good. Okay, thank you. All right, next up I have, is it Miss Leonard Caldwell? Candy Leonard.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
As you heard, my name is Candy Leonard Caldwell. I am a very proud grandmother of 5 grandchildren. And I may add, I'm a hands-on grandmother. 3 of my grandchildren attend USD 500. The other 2 grandchildren attend 204 school district. And this morning, I'm here on behalf to speak for my family, my grandchildren, my village, my community, and as the built-in self-appointed advocate for those poor children that are subjected to the KCK public schools. What I would like to see for the future of the Kansas City, Kansas School District is safety for our children. Okay, that's my concerns are not necessarily in the order that are my concerns, but that is my #1 concern. Also, I would like to see a broader and a more aggressive anti-bullying and teen suicide awareness and prevention programs. I would like to see for the district of the future committed teachers, principals, and educators. Also, I would like to see accessibility. When I speak of accessibilities, I want to be welcomed into the schools. I noticed that even at your Gates barbecue, you welcome in, "Hi, may I help you?" Even at your neighbor Dollarhood store, before you enter the school, "Hi." I would like that same experience when I enter the school districts. Also, I would like to see for the future of the district integrity. I would like to see integrity. I would like to see when an administrator tells you something, that's followed up. I would like to see an administrator, a principal, a teacher, an educator say they're going to call you back. They're going to call you back. I would like to see when you email an educator, an administrator, a teacher, a principal, they'll return that email. I would like to envision for the district that when you say you're going to do something, integrity, integrity. When you tell a child in your classroom, you're going to do this and I'm going to give you extra credit, let's not have selective amnesia. Let's have integrity. Let's have integrity when you tell a grandparent when you come into the school and you are handicapped and there's handicapped parking and it's not accessible to you. You mention it to all levels, it's still not accessible to you. Then what do? And I say accessibility again. I want to be welcomed into the school. I want to be asked not to leave a school dance party after school. I would like to not be asked to leave the school when I'm trying to visit a grandchild's classroom. When you're given and you did what you're supposed to, you follow protocol, you give not a 24-hour notice, but you give a week notice, and that's like 2 months ago, and you're still waiting, integrity. Also, I would like to see more PTAs and more PTSOs. I would like to envision for the district that those organizations are welcomed with less opposition. And then one other thing I would like to see for the district is professionalism. I would like to see that. I would like to see that professionalism. Again, I would like to walk into a school and be acknowledged. I don't want to have to wait while I overhear your conversation of lunch. Plans for early in the morning. I don't want to enter the office and I have to wait to be acknowledged while you finish your personal conversation. Okay? I've taken enough time of your time this morning, but there's one word that I would like to leave for the district this morning, and that's mindfulness. Thank you.
Okay, next up I have, is it Camille Caldwell? I take it you're related.
Good morning.
Good morning.
As he said, I'm Camille Caldwell. I'm a 34-year-old mother of 3 children. My mother was just speaking about in the district. My oldest is at Sumner. My youngest 2, unfortunately, they're at Quindaro. And just like my mother was speaking of, we want to see change in this district. I have notes, if you guys bear with me. We've been in this district, like I said, my oldest is at Sumner for 9 years. I've served actively on the PTA 8 of those years. I cannot this year serve in good faith and good conscience. I observed our children in this district as a PTA president being degraded, manipulated, humiliated, verbally and mentally abused by the educators. I spoke out along with my mom about these problems we're seeing, not necessarily with my children, but other children, and that's when my children, as the PTA president, became the target. Myself, along with my mother, were labeled as troublemakers, and the staff, our educators, resumed to retaliatory acts against my children. I have a 7 and a 9-year-old. As a young black PTA president, this is what I look like. I'm not too fancy. I'm a last on my list kind of mom. I'm a selfless kind of mom. My children look like rock stars. I always say they look like cheese and I look like please, is my joke. So in return, after speaking up, I was stereotyped. I was discriminated against. I even had to deal with false DCF reports against my children. I feel like the USD 500 at this point has distressed me and let me down. I feel like there's so much teacher opposition and educator opposition in the schools, warranting that the PTA is becoming non-existent because of that teacher and educator opposition. And I feel strongly within my soul and in my heart it's because those educators don't want us in there advocating for our children. I'm a graduate of this district, class of 2002, a Sligo stallion. I grew up alongside a PTA. When there was something going on, you could tell your trusted teacher and be sure, Miss Criswell was my PTA president. I don't know if I'm telling out for my age again. Miss Criswell would follow up with that teacher, follow up with that principal, and follow up with you. There was someone else to keep that educator you trusted with that information accountable. We've lost that. They don't want us to advocate for your babies. They don't want us to advocate for my babies. They don't want, this is what I've been told, they don't want a young black PTA president as their president. I want the cliches. I want change for the district. I'm going to leave you with this. I could go on all day of what I've seen in the 9 years I've been in this district. But I'm going to leave you with this. I want those cliches on the back of those shirts and those cliches we see around the school to be in those teachers' hearts, minds, and in their actions with our children. I want the open door policy back up. Little such and such wouldn't be the problem child if he knew that his mom could walk in at any time doing something with PTA. If he wouldn't be a problem if he could have a relationship with a Miss Camille, a Miss Caldwell, who's going to check on you and encourage you and reward you. I believe our children should be rewarded. Of course, we go to work for a paycheck. If they're working hard, they deserve something that encourages them. So like I said, along with myself and my mother, I want them to be professional. I want them to be accountable. And I want them to be mindful. And like I said, I'm going to leave you with this. After all I've seen and all I've dealt with in this district, my children won't be in this district next year. God bless.
Ms. Caldwell, I hope you won't give up on us and that we can work together to do something. And we are going to make some changes. It's going to take some time, but we need your help. And I think if we could sit, we could talk. But I think we can work this out. I don't want to think that's it. You have a lot of energy. You're very concerned. And we appreciate you coming, but we need you to hang in there with us, with you and your mother. I think we can make a difference. But we have to sit down and talk and see if we can work this out. Anything can be worked out if people are willing to work together. I want to believe that. So I'm asking you not to give up on us, to continue to work with us, and we just got to sit down and try to work it out. I would hate for that to be the end, that you would take your kids out. Please. Okay.
Engagement educator today about just the way things look at different schools can sometimes lead. Although you're saying, hey, stick it out, hang in there. As a young, hey, I'm overseeing all the PTAs in KCK. There's a little bit of adversity, and there's things that people are. I operate on the mentality just because it's been that way doesn't mean it has to stay that way.
Right.
So there is this gateway that has got to be open. That today's parents look different. Today's parents, hey, you can't say millennials are going to change the world, but we only want you to do it in this parameter. If you want us to be those engaged, yes, I agree with Stephanie. I went to Piper High School and I graduated, and hey, I had a baby at 15 too, but I'm successful today, regardless what it looks like to anybody else. So, but what I think this board has got to remember is us millennial parents, you get one chance, and you don't get the opportunity to keep doing it because you lose that trust. And what this district has done for Camille and her family has lost their trust. And there's so many other families and stories we've heard. How does the district figure out something where you're not losing families' trust like that? Because if you get one opportunity, just like games, just like a job, if you go in there and act a certain way, you gone. You gone. So the district has got to treat us millennial parents as welcoming individuals, and individuals like, yes, we understand that's the way you've been doing it. Yes, we understand that we are bringing you something that you maybe have never seen in your 30-something years. But you got to have that open door policy, and that's what I talked to you about on Saturday. She talked about that glow party again. That's just what I feel for their family, and I really hope that we can figure something out in this instance.
Well, thank you, sweetheart. And we're not millennials. We got a lot to learn, and we're learning. We're learning. But it doesn't matter who you are, if you're millennial, whatever, you should be respected. And it goes both ways. It goes both ways. We got to respect each other. Yes, ma'am. But Ms. Caldwell, can we get your information and everything before you leave? And we can sit down and talk and try to see if we can work it out. We'll get an administrator, and we need to talk to work it out. Okay.
And as my mother said, we're still waiting on return phone calls and emails. So it's out there. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And also, I'd like to add, as Wanda said, we are starting at a new era right now. And we know that you as millennials, you want things now. But if you, and I hope you won't, if you leave and go to another district, you're starting all over. You may run into some of the same problems, and you're going to have to address those needs. You may not be satisfied with it. You may decide to move on and keep moving on. But what we're suggesting that you should do is take courage and work with us. Yes, things are going to come up. You worked over 9 years trying to fix this, and it hasn't happened. Don't give up. Let's keep starting over. Trust us to know that we're going to try to do the best that we can. And we may disagree. We may not solve everything right then. But if you work with us, keep working through it. Because as we came up, our parents saw things were not working, but they encouraged us and kept us moving forward. The only way that you can bring about a change is to stay where you are and keep working at it. It may not solve the problem totally, but give us a chance. That's what we're saying.
I'm a pretty patient person. My mom raised me that only a fool can't listen.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm always willing to listen, and I'm always willing to learn, and I have patience. That's why I stuck it out for 9 years. But the retaliatory acts against my 7- and 9-year-old are where I cut it off. They are 7 and 9, and these are adults who are paid on a job retaliating against them. That's where I cut it off. And like she said, that's why I want change now, because they are 7 and 9, and I'm their advocate. And my Bible teaches me to be a lioness to my cubs. So it's over for them, because when I share information, it's shared with them, and they're retaliating against my kids for the 8 hours I have.
We'll have someone in the administration, probably through Dr. Strickland's office or Marcy Clay's office, get in touch with you to help you work through this. Thank you for coming.
Okay. Next up, I have Sally Murguia.
Thank you. Thank you to the board for this listening tour. I really, really appreciate it. We've heard some serious concern. I've been to every one of them because I guess I'm a glutton, but some of my other friends have been here. But I appreciate it. We've heard some really serious concerns, and we've heard some celebrations. We've heard some stories that are kind of on a personal level and some issues that are on a policy level. It's encouraging to me to see all this community participation. I have to say, my kids were in the district up until last spring for 14 years or however long that is, so it's a long haul. So it's been wonderful to hear all that participation. Also to hear some of the encouraging stories about the principal and the teachers that are going above and beyond. That's encouraging to me, and I've seen that myself in my experience with the district. I just want to bring back the conversation to your difficult job, which is setting policy for the district. Yes. I know you can't answer every single individual case, but you do have policy responsibility. And one of the things I've liked about the district over the years is the continuity where the board and the administration and the schools have been able to unite under a common vision. Where did I put that? To be one of the top 10 school districts in the nation, with the goal that each student exit high school prepared for college and careers in a global society. And then the implementation of a district improvement plan. Under this history, we've been able to be the first district in the metropolitan area to ensure a one-on-one ratio of computers to students in our high schools, and that began in 2007. We provided all-day kindergarten classes before many surrounding districts, and even when the state was only paying for half days. We provide transportation for I don't know how many tens of thousands of students every day, but also to like the music competitions and the sports events and stuff. And there's no charge for that transportation, which I think there is in other districts. So I think recently part of that is because of our good superintendent and the vision that she has brought together for her staff and the people working under her. Since Dr. Lane has been named the Kansas Superintendent of the Year and received an Outstanding Service Award from the United School Administrators of Kansas. I just want to lift that up as you guys, kind of a new board. I just heard the idea that it's a new era, and I know you're looking for a new superintendent. So these concepts that the district has lived with over the past, I don't know how many years, if they're changing, I'm looking over the next few months to hear from you, the board, to articulate how they're changing or what's different or what the new era is. What is new and what are you looking for in the new superintendent? Because I think there are some definitely problems, but up until, in my experience, people work together to try to solve those problems. And I think that's what you're about by having this listening tour. But if it's a new era and there's new policies or a new vision or a new goal or something different that we're looking forward to in the future, that is your job, and I don't envy you, but being able to articulate all of that. And I really appreciate the effort that you've gone to bring us into the conversation.
Greg, I have one thing to say, Ms. Caldwell. I think everyone here would agree that the issues that you've been confronted with are unacceptable. And part of the board, this board is relatively new, and I think our effort to participate, to encourage this kind of feedback from you is very vital. We want to make some changes. We want to eliminate unacceptable practices. And I love your passion. Your passion is important, and I wish you could put it in a pill and give it to other people. But I want you to do this for me. I want you to help us help you. I want you to be part of the solution. And this is a new board. This is a new day. You got a new sheriff in town. We're going to work toward making your life comfortable, increasing the quality in your life, making sure, as a lioness, that you take care of your cubs, and we do the right thing. You know, fairness, being transparent, having access to the schools, that has to happen. There's no question. There's no substitute for a parent who wants to participate in the quality of their child's life. You know? So work with us. We're going to work with you. I know we have your name and your number, but we're going to follow up. You're going to get a phone call. We're going to make it right. Thank you so much.
Okay, Michael Williams.
How you doing? Bear with me, my voice kind of gone. I think one of my old teachers is back there. I've been going for the last, I say, 17 years, 18 years, and I said I was never going to come back to Kansas City. It wasn't happening. I hated this city, but everything that, you know, my whole body, soul, and heart. And this is the reason why. I went to Wyandotte as a young man. I started at Wyandotte in 94, didn't graduate until 2000, and I graduated from Fairfax. So it hits close to home what the young lady was talking about earlier. Fairfax was one of the schools that actually helped me a great deal. That's after Fairfax, I was able to join the military. I deployed 3 times. I retired early medically. After 13 years, I got hurt. Got an education. Did a lot of great things in my life, raised a son. Ended up bringing him against my will back here. He graduated from Wyandotte. Because I wanted to prove people wrong, that with the right parenting and the right support, you can bring your children through anything. Now, I stand here and I look at the school board. I stand here and look at the parents and some of the educators. But some of the same things I went through, these kids, they're going through. Why? And it rather makes me sad. I want to be angry, but it makes me sad. I was looking at my transcript, and I had, in 1 year, 60 absences. There were times when I walk around school all day, because I didn't get along with my teachers. I don't want to name drop, but I remember this one teacher, Mr. Bedetti. He was at Wanda. He's my social studies teacher. I stepped up several times, and I said, I do not like this man. I don't get along with him. He makes stupid jokes. I don't understand what he be talking about. And my counselor would tell me, just suck it up and drive on. And I ended up getting a fight with him, and I got carried out of Wyandotte. I think I went to JDC about 20-some times, literally. It's no joke. I went to foster homes. I went to group homes. I went to, almost went to a Wildcat youth center, but they sent me to a boys' home in Ozanam. Actually, when I went to Ozanam, I caught up all my credits. I got about 15 credits, now about 13 credits in one school year. Now, maybe, you know, you may not hear it in my accent, but I was actually born in Germany. My father was a Vietnam veteran. I went to German schools. So looking at the school system in Europe and looking at this school system, it's a joke. I'm sorry. I came here, 9th grade, barely spoke any English because my dad wasn't around. He came back here. And I think I made it through ESL for about a good maybe month and a half, and they said you need to be here because I learned quick. Everybody else around me spoke English. I didn't, so I had to learn. I sat in the classrooms, and it was some of the worst experience that I had. Teachers was disattached from the children. They didn't do much. They'd pick a couple of kids and help them out, and the rest of them was just whatever. I wanted to wind out when you went across the street, you didn't see nothing but red, black, and blue. Kids was getting killed in front of school, up the street, around the corner from school. Kids was getting guns pulled on, sexual harassment. It was a whole lot going on. When I took my son back to Wyandotte this time around, it improved a little bit. But we still got a long way to go from what I've seen. Now, what I charged the school board with today and what I came here to share with you, one of the reasons why I got out of the streets and went and joined the military and did what I did, there's a small martial arts school that used to be on 17th Street. Then it moved to 47th Street. Now it's on 43rd and Victory Drive. It's called Tendu Martial Arts. And I was 18. And I participated in the national championships, internationals, and we also produced some world champions. I think Monica used to go to that school. She's a world champion. So sexual harassment, I don't think it's going to happen. She's a bad girl. So we produced a lot of great young children. We was also part of the Kids Zone for the last 20 years. Middle school, I think some elementary school. We did do Wyandotte for a while. But there's always these politics. We ain't got no money. We can't do this. We can't do that. Well, if you ain't got no money to invest into your children, where are they going to be in 10 years from now? Okay, I was lucky I had Walter Justice, Grandmaster Sendu in my life to train me, pick me up, show me where to go, what to do, how to do it, like a father, because I didn't have a father. I was going to Wyandotte High School, and I know I'm a little long with it at this point, but I want you to hear this, because I know there's some children out here going through the same thing. And I slept on park benches, okay? I used to go to school to eat. I used to eat lunch. That was my food. That's why I used to get caught. That's why I used to go to JDC, because I had no food in my stomach. So when I go to school, oh, there go Mr. Williams. Come on, sir. Put the cuffs on in front of the other kids and walk you right on out of there. I remember we had Mr. Collier, Mr. Johnson, Mr. Stewart. There was a lot of individuals there that could have made a change. They made a change in some, but it wasn't enough done. And it seems like ain't never enough done. We can sit here and talk about how we're going to work with another parent, how we're going to change certain things. Actions speak louder than words. Now, this is what I want to share with you. We have concerns with sexual harassment. We got concerns with bullying. We got a lot of concerns. Retaliatory events, teachers against children. I say if you was to implement some of these programs that we had back in the day, when you was coming up, you know, that was a totally different generation. But today, we could do the martial arts. I seen the martial art work. I seen a lot of kids. Look at me. If you can help these children do something, they won't be out here. And I'm emotional. I seen 15 of my friends get killed right here. Went to Wyandotte, Sligo, and Harmon. 15 children that went to your school district. And I'll charge you with it because you're the school board now. Those was your peers. You were here then. Some of your faces I see were here. Went to Wyandotte. You know what I was told? You know where you're going to be, Mike? You're going to be dead or you're going to be in the penitentiary. That's what my teachers told me. That's what they're telling your children, the ones they don't like. That's what they're telling your children, the ones they don't like. Not all of them. There are teachers that really care. I seen it. And I can't say all my teachers were bad, but Mr. Kessler and Mr. Knapp at Fairfax helped me a great deal. okay? Walter Justice, he worked in the school system for what, 20 plus years? Helped me a great deal. As he was walking around this Lego snatching these kids up, listen, young man, why you acting like that? Some of those children went to the school, became world champions, did what they did. She doing great for herself. So if you was to implement some of these programs, I think it will help these children. Stop playing with the money because it ain't gonna do you no good. We're trying to do these children good, right? Put the money out there. Invest in these children. We here, we ride on 43rd and Victory Drive. We've been here for 20 plus years, and we're willing to take any problem child that you send us, and I guarantee you we can make a change in his life. Because if I can make a change, they can. And it was pretty bad. I don't think it get no worse than when I was in school. You don't understand. Some of these children sit in your classrooms trying to worry about what they're going to eat, trying to worry about not getting killed, or thinking about killing somebody, the ultimate sacrifice. Do you understand that? That's what these children is going through right now. They sit in the classroom angry. They don't understand certain things that's going on. Teachers don't care, so they sitting there high. Nobody care anyway, so I'm gonna ride it out. Oh, it's 1:30, we're about done. Some of them don't even show up. I went to JDC 20 plus times. Can you imagine that? 20 plus times. I went to every group home there is in this city and foster home. And I know I'm not the only one. So we can sit here and say, I'm gonna work with you, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. Let's make it happen. And I got a suggestion. Send them through a martial arts program. We're here. If there's anybody else that got something, bring it to the front. But we're here, we'll train your children. And on top of that, when it comes to the security officers, police officers, we're sitting there talking about tasing. It don't take all that. It does not. So you can send your police officers or your security officers. We're training. Walter Justice was a police officer, and he was a sheriff. And he was a pararescue in the Air Force. As I was in the Special Operations Forces, and I was in the 82nd Airborne, I was in the military for 13 years. We could train them to grab the children in a safe manner and walk them right up out of there and talk to them. It don't take tasing, pulling guns, slamming the kids on their head. It doesn't take all that. It does not. So I know I was kind of long-winded, but I had to get this off my chest. It's been about 20 plus years coming. I finally got an opportunity, but I really urge you, if you want your children to get out here and do something and they don't really play football, or they don't play soccer or whatever may have you, there are other things out here. Martial arts would be good for them. It helped a lot of us. Like I said, we produced about, what we do, about 5 world champions. You went to Ireland, right? You went to Spain, right? You went to Baltimore, right? We made it happen for you, right? Okay? So we're here. We love the children. If somebody don't love your children, bring them to us. So we'll make sure that they got the right step, and we'll let them know what they need, and they have some positive male figures in their life. Okay? School board, we can sit down, we can talk about a program that we can put in place, and I think it'd be a great opportunity for some of these problem kids that you will call, and I guarantee you we're going to reach at least one of them. We'll probably reach more of them, but at least one of them, and that's worth it.
I want to thank you, Mr. Williams, for your comments. One of the things I would recommend that you might probably would like to meet with our PTA representatives to talk to them, to attend meetings, so that you can reach out to the schools to see if there's a way in which you can incorporate some of those things that's there. Thank you.
Okay, I've got a YouTube comment by Isaac Saden, and his question for the board is, what is the listening tour for if students can't express their feelings? I think I can speak on behalf of the board that part of the reason for the listening tour is for students and parents to express their feelings, so certainly we would encourage people to speak their comments. The next individual I have is Todd Henderson.
Hello, everyone.
Hello. Morning.
I'm nervous, so I'm going to read my comments. Is it okay?
Yeah.
I'm a preacher, and he said take his time, so I don't know if I want to do that.
My name is Todd Henderson. I am a product of this great district. I attended Vance Elementary, I attended Eisenhower Middle School, and I graduated from Washington High School in 1998, over 20 years ago. My mother worked in this district as a teacher and a principal for over 30 years. My sister is currently an ELA teacher at Eisenhower Middle School. I also worked in this district for 3 years. Simply put, I love this district. However, I don't live in Wyandotte County right now. My 12 and 10-year-old children attend school in the DeSoto School District. I'm not here as an ex-colleague of this district. I'm not here as a brother to a sister that teaches in this district, but I'm here as a youth pastor whose church resides in this county. My church that I attend is the Faith Deliverance Family Worship Center, where my senior pastor is the commissioner of the 4th District here in KCK, Pastor Harold Johnson, Jr. As a youth pastor who pastors children and young folk that attend your schools, I know that there is much prayer that is needed, not only for the children, but for teachers, administration, and even for this board that is putting in policies. I want to apologize to this board, administration, and the parents for all of us youth pastors who has not been involved more frequently with this school district. Good. I don't apologize for the ones who have been involved and for the programs that are trying to make a difference. I believe they are working hard. But by the words we believe in, it simply states that the harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. After sitting back and watching the events that unfolded in this district at our high schools the past couple of weeks, I am deeply disturbed by the future of our children. I personally don't think the problem is policies, programs, administration, teachers, this board, nor the students. I believe that the problem is an effect of a poisoned society that has social learned behavior that has breeded a generation of young people that has been exposed to things that you and I did not see until we got into adulthood. Right. These kids are exposed to pornography. These kids are exposed to instructional videos on how to hustle and make money with drugs, with the devices that we have provided to them. These kids are exposed to violence within their homes. These kids are exposed to self-defense at all measures. And this formula of destruction is one that can't be solved by policies and programs. Teachers and administration, with all combined education, is still not equipped to deal with this demonic force that is backing these children. Policies are still needed. Programs are still needed. But what is really needed is more prayer. I'm not here to ask for something you can't control because of the law of the land. I understand that with state and church. But I would like to set up a 30-minute devotional hour before school in your high school auditoriums that will allow community speakers, programs, motivational speakers, and youth pastors of this community to pray and speak over our children. I'm not asking for money. I'm not asking for staff. All I'm asking for is access. I will coordinate with each high school as needed for logistics to make sure that students are not late to class. We'll do our own marketing to encourage students and the parents of students to be involved in this 30-minute devotion. I would like to ask teachers to consider detention or devotion when handing out detention to youth. This will give us an opportunity to speak to children and motivate them daily to be the best that they can be. I have no hidden agenda, no any agenda, other than attacking the forces that is plaguing this district. As I close, I leave you with these words from Donnie McClurkin. What do you do when you've done all you can and it seems like it's never enough. And what do you say when your friends turn away and you're all alone? Tell me, what do you give when you've given your all and it seems like you can't make it through? I want to just tell this board to stand and watch the Lord see you through.
Praise God. Mr. Henderson, thank you for those powerful words. Thank you. And I hope in some way that can come to fruition. Thank you so much.
And I'd like to thank you also. As usual, we always have laws, and some things we can't do, but we have to figure out a way to do it where it's respectful to everyone. And you can't force them, but there's a way that we can offer it. And I think we can work and try to figure out legally what we can do without hurting or offending anybody's rights. And if we could just get more men to come to the school when they have time to volunteer. I've seen the laymen come in. They had lunch with the kids, and that's just a good thing, because for a lot of our kids, they see women, and most of the people who teach are women. It's not a bad thing, but we got to just bring some more men in and allow them to see that, what you were talking about, being a positive role model. So there's a way to work it out. We just have to figure it out, where it's respectful and within the law.
I totally concur. You know, because, you know, we sometimes don't think outside the box. We kind of confine our thinking to policies and procedures that are in place. There are ways that we can become innovative and make certain things that we know will work. The fact that there's some legal issues that are in place, there should be an opportunity for us to look at those issues and sculpt something that will continue to kind of proceed along the lines that you're talking about.
So I think that's all we're looking for.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to have an agenda where we have to respect everybody's faith.
Sure.
I understand, and that's why we want to be more on the motivational side.
Right.
More on the side where we bring in athletes, we bring in superstars that can speak to these kids and tell men like this gentleman right here to talk about how they made it and how they overcame. You know, that gives the kids an opportunity where they'll stick with them through the whole day. Maybe we don't do it daily, but maybe we do it, you know, once a week. But something that will cause these kids to think before they do some crazy stuff.
Okay. Thank you. Have another YouTube comment from Isaac Saden, and his question is, why do our administration like to keep the student's voice unheard? And again, I would suggest that the opposite of that is true, is that the administration would like to hear from the student voice, or at least the board would like to hear from the student voice. Next I have Tira Anderson.
I'm great. My name is Tira Anderson. I went to KCK Public Schools and graduated. I too was a teen mom, and my son is actually attending middle school now, and I have an elementary student. I did go on to college. I graduated from UMKC. I'm only saying that because I know how powerful an education is, and I value my children's education. And I want to thank you guys for giving us the chance to have this listening tour, because I know that you guys are trying your best to create the change, and I want to be a part of that change as well. One of the first things that I would like to ask for and that I would like to see in the future is books brought back to the schools. I work at the hospital, KU, and we are required to work 12-hour shifts, so I am one of those working parents. However, when I get off work, I'm one of those parents who ask my children about their day and ask my son to go over his work and explain it to me. And oftentimes, it is hard for children to explain their work to the parent. And for some parents, I know they might have a hard time understanding that work. But for a parent like myself, and being in the education system, I revert back to books. So just to be able to go through the book and be like, okay, son, let me read this. or print it off and send it home with him. Like he's having to do CNN articles, which is online, which we have access to internet, but there's also kids who don't have that access. And so we have to think about them as well. And so just to be able to print that off when he can do it and we can go over it would actually be something that's very beneficial. I say that because it also helps the children stay on task. Me, for instance, with me working at the hospital, I have a hard time getting on my phone and getting, and it's so easy to get off task when you have these technology devices in front instead of you paying attention to your work. And my son has gotten a detention for not being on task because he's surfing the web versus doing his work. And it's just, I honestly feel like instead of them always reverting to disciplinary actions to detention because, oh, he's been on it, he's surfing the web, it's just like you giving them this tool, you can't expect them to be robots all day. Even me personally, like, I get off task and I'm surfing my web, and I'm an adult. So I can't hold him to a higher standard than I'm holding myself when it comes to that type of aspect. So what I'm asking for is we can put books in these, just put books back there. Even if we have to, like, pay some, well, and I know some parents probably can't do that, but I honestly do feel like books are very important and that they should be a part of the educational experience as well to keep children on task. Another thing that I would like to do is with having the books there, it actually holds students accountable, parents accountable, and teachers accountable. Reason why I say that is holding everybody accountable because sometimes students can come home, like my son said, oh, I don't have work today. He actually did have homework. It was actually online. And, because I'm not, and I do have School Loop. I have it on my phone. I can pull it up. But, like, even that's, like, hard to see because they're not always keeping that up to date. And if they're not up to date in that, then how do you expect me to stay up to date? And children, on the other hand, they're children. They're going to forget stuff. We can't expect them to remember everything. Like, I can't remember everything. I do my best, but I have to write stuff down. And that's something we're trying to teach them. And so my thing is we as educators and adults, we have to educate our children. We can't expect them to know everything. We got where we at today because we learned it. And it took us a lot of mistakes, but we learned it. And for our children, instead of us always telling them, oh, you should have did this, or oh, this should be done, we need to first take time to really, truly educate them instead of always trying to discipline them and thinking discipline is just going to fix the answer. It's not. You got to sit here and teach a child, okay, me, for instance, as a mom, I tell my son, okay, son, you did get in trouble because you were off task. I understand that. I do that. And instead of me saying, I'm going to take this away from you, I'm not going to let you do this, I tell him, this can be the next consequence. Instead of me automatically disciplining him, I educate him on these consequences. And one thing I have learned moving back down to this district is they are so quick to discipline him versus educating him. And I'm just like, why can't we just educate? As a parent, it's my job to discipline my child, and I get that, and I do my job. But when I'm sending my child to school, I'm sending him to school to be educated, not to sit up here and receive more and more discipline on top of discipline. At some point, we have to educate our children because all we're doing is raising a mental health society at this point because they're going, it's just a tumbling ball effect. And I say it because I work at the hospital, and I hear students come in as well, and I hear them talk about it, and no one's taking time to talk to them and educate them. So they're just messed up in the head. Now, these are my patient voices that I'm speaking on. The next thing I would like to see is more collaboration within the system as well. I also, in my spare time, I do volunteer at the Community Health Council of Wyandotte County, and I sit on the Youth Committee Advisory Board, and we're talking about ways to help our youth. And we even talked about our public school system and how, like I said, that was an old past. I know this is a new time. But they were not wanting to be a part of something that we were trying to do for the schools. But what I would like to see is that we have more of our local organizations sitting in here too, where all these empty chairs that, like the Community Health Council, they didn't know nothing about like the listening tour. But just getting that out there and letting them know they need to be a part of these listening tours as well, and having everyone in this community sit here as we sit up here and trying to come up with these these solutions to fix our problems. So that's what I really would like to see. And me personally, I leave my name and information, and I would like to just be a part of that change. I left the rest of my notes at home, but I don't care. Most importantly, I want books, and I want to see collaboration going on with local organizations and more listening tours. Thank you.
Well, I want to thank you because when I was campaigning, that was something I wanted to see. And I saw where Blue Valley, and then the way the article was printed, they got volunteers, I think, from Children's Mercy to come in to provide mental health. Well, there was a second part of that that I was unaware that the article left out, is that they got money, and that's an issue. But we all can see today that mental health is something that we need to work on and be able to provide some assistance to, because a lot of our kids are wounded. It's almost like having soldiers. You've been in a war somewhere and they come back, and now they're supposed to fit in, but they need some help. And we got to try to do something, figure out something. I don't know what, but you're saying there's a committee there that maybe we could utilize more of the groups in the community. I'm not saying this is what we're going to do, but we just got to figure out a way to bring them in to help us out so that they can help our youth who are still, who are struggling and trying to work it out.
And we do work with quite a few community groups. I can't name them for you, but Student Services has a lot of resources for us, and we do have mental health workers come into our schools. It just may not be as publicized as it should be, and so maybe we need to look at a little bit more sharing of information so people know what's available. But that is a priority for most of the board members, is the addition, if possible, money-wise, of social workers and counselors so that we can address a lot of issues before they become issues. So thank you very much for your comments. We appreciate that.
And I'd just like to add that one of the things Wanda and I are doing is trying to go visit the schools. She and I are going to be here for 4 years. And one of the things that I tried to do was to recognize I need to know what's going on. I taught in middle school for 35 years and retired in 2013. Never went to an elementary school as a teacher to be able to know what's going on. My first goal was to set up a schedule to go visit the elementary schools so that I can know what was happening. But I haven't been able to do that because right now I'm inundated with putting on my calendar the dates of meetings. That's why we set up the listening tours so that we can know what's going on. I still have several other meetings that I have to be a part of. And I'm willing to do what I can. And I really do want to say that I appreciate each and every one of you coming out to this, because that's why we set up these 4 listening tours so that we can hear. Our work is going to be very intricate, but we need everybody to help us. And I know we keep saying that, but it's not an easy task. We are in the learning stages because we have no experience with this other than teachers and then other areas in which Mr. Brown has an expertise in. But we want you to recognize we hear you, and we are going to do the best that we can to bring about this change, but it's going to take all of us to do this. And we are planning not to just let these listening tours end and then just let it go back to the way it was. We want some change, and we want some help. And so we are encouraged by what you're saying, and we're asking you to pray for us because we're going to need it. It's going to be a lot of work, and we're willing to do it. Thank you.
Okay, next I have Crystal Everett.
I'll just sit on this side. Good morning, everyone. My name is Crystal Everett, and I am here representing 2020 Leadership as Program Director. I've actually been in this role since July of 2015, and I hear all the concerns about the different opportunities for students, and I'm here to advocate on behalf of our program and no one has to raise their hand, but we have this great leadership opportunity for students here in Kansas City, Kansas Public Schools. We work with freshmen through seniors. We're taking them out of school once a month, and this program is really here to be an additional support for what's going on in the classroom. And I feel like I have a very unique perspective personally. I see actually some of my mom's colleagues here in the room. My mom here works here for Kansas City, Kansas Public Schools, and is helping teachers make sure that they are educating the students inside the classroom. And I also have a brother who serves as an officer here for Kansas City, Kansas Public Schools. And when I got started with 2020 Leadership, a little backstory, I was in 2020 Leadership when I was in high school. I graduated from Lincoln Prep on the Missouri side in 2006 and had the opportunity to come serve in this role as program director in 2015. And honestly, some of the best information I got was simply going into the schools and figuring out what teachers, what our counselors, what our college and career coordinators were up to. I kind of got frustrated at points like, why aren't they answering my emails? Probably, again, some of the same concerns that you all have had. But I see what resources they have and understand that they're being asked to do more with less resources. And so as you all as parents have, again, your different perspectives, kind of understand where they're coming from and being asked to do this and to do that. And so my role as program director is, again, to make sure that your students, again, who are freshmen through seniors at all the Kansas City, Kansas public high schools, have this unique opportunity. Like I said, we take students out of school once a month. Even just last week, we took a group of about 53 sophomores from, again, all Kansas City, Kansas public high schools, in addition to Turner, up to KU, to their School of Engineering. Really just an opportunity for them to see what is engineering like. If I'm a sophomore right now and I want to be an engineer, what do I need to do to make that happen? And even if they don't want to go to KU, even if they're not interested in engineering, they had this unique experience that they might not get this opportunity to do. We even went over to Allen Fieldhouse, again, KU as the flagship university of the state. Everybody knows about KU, know about KU basketball, all that fun stuff. So our job with our program is to provide these different leadership experiences. If you've been to Harmon High School, that half-mile trail you see out front of that school, that was a product of students' work from 2020 Leadership. Over $160,000 was raised to make sure that that trail got built. And it was really from a teacher, and I'll give a shout out to Rick Malone, who is at Sumner Academy right now. He was at Harmon when the trail was built. And again, some of those students who are currently in college and having some great successes in giving attribution to their participation in 2020 Leadership. So we're always trying to figure out how do we spread the message about our program. So for you all who do have freshmen through seniors, I encourage you all to get your students signed up for the program. We're now in our recruiting season. 2020leadership.org. I feel like I'm here on a marketing spiel. And I also want to give a shout out to Isaac. I don't know if he's watching right now, but he is a student who's in 2020 Leadership. He is one of our sophomores at Harmon High School. And again, we're encouraging students to be advocates for themselves, for their communities. Again, kind of back to the point about the half-mile trail at Harmon. Every school that we work with 17 high schools across the Kansas City area, here in Wyandotte County, one school in Johnson County, and also in Jackson County. And so we have a grant from the Coffin Foundation so that each school got $2,000 to develop a project, and their charge was to leave a legacy within their school. So it's not just, hey, let's throw a party. We have $2,000 to throw a party. It's really about them working together as a team, kind of building some of those soft skills that sometimes we as adults kind of come up short with, sometimes getting the courage to stand in front of a group of their peers. We've taken students to talk in front of their commissioners. All of our students are presenting about their projects at the Sprint campus on Friday. There's some, again, with this grant that we got from Kaufman, one team is going to earn $8,000 to really be able to amplify their project. And so, again, this program is designed to be an additional support to the school districts that we work in for these students to give them those opportunities. We also had the opportunity to visit Lansing Correctional Facility during the month of February, and it wasn't like a beyond scared straight experience. We don't want you to think that we're doing that with your students, but it really is about the power of choices. And what's crazy is that one of the panelists had graduated from Harmon High School and talked about how he was involved, was on the wrestling team, and again, his choices, and as a result of those consequences, as a result of those choices, he's now incarcerated for about 18 years. But for him to be able to speak freely about those experiences, encouraging those students. And so hopefully we don't have more students that are coming from Kansas City, Kansas Public Schools, or any schools continuing to be a part of the system, and we all know sometimes how that ends up for students. But again, just want to advocate on behalf of our program. The school district has been a great support. I believe our students are coming before you, all as board members, later this month to talk about some of the projects and some of the things that they have learned. Because again, some of these things are things they'll never read in a book, they'll never get from an iPad. These are real life experiences that they're having that would encourage them to be better versions of themselves. I remember when I was in 2020, I would have never spoken in front of anybody and then had the chance to speak in front of 3,000 people at my high school graduation. So proof that our program really is having an impact on our students within their communities. And again, just kind of understand, just want to advocate on behalf of the teachers. My mother has been in education for about 35 years. So I see, again, personal firsthand experience about the resources that teachers are given and what they're being asked to do. And just remember, they have families at home that they need to pour love into as well. And so I just want to, again, end with the note of encouraging you all to continue to support 2020 leadership. We're here to help advocate for students as well. Thanks.
Okay. Next, I have Dr. Dolores Pinkard.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, still morning. First, I came here not planning to say anything. I've been watching all of the meetings on my internet because I no longer have Time Warner, and so I don't have my station anymore. But I thought that I wanted to come and actually see for myself what's happening. And my concern is, number one, our school district, our children. My second concern is our board, learning to work together and to make things happen. And I retired a long, long time ago, but I never stopped working. I consider myself now a community advocate. And I do whatever I can to advocate for our community, which includes our schools. In fact, maybe number one is what's going on in our schools. Our children really are first. I decided that I needed to speak because I've been so encouraged by the response of the board members to what people have been saying. And I was almost overwhelmed with what you have said as you have come up. It gave me such encouragement. I have a granddaughter who is a millennial. And then when I see the millennials coming up, talking about what they're doing, what they need, what they see needed, what they're willing to do in order to make it happen, I'm a millennial at heart. And I'm going to go to one issue. And I'm sorry, I apologize to anybody that this might offend, but something can be done now about the situation that we were told about at a particular school. Something can be done now. I think I know what to do, but I think that we all do know that you have to go directly to the source, and you have to have expectations that the source must meet. And that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. We need to have our expectations of our school personnel from all along the way raised. And then we need to hold our school personnel accountable for what happens with our children. That means that early on, when teachers are hired and they're looking at getting tenure, et cetera, it is the principal's responsibility in that building, and I've been there, done that. It's the principal's responsibility in that building to say what's going to happen and not going to happen in this school.
That's true.
So we need to have our board know that you do know, especially those of you who've been in education, you do know where to start and what to do. And the community, which overwhelms me, is supporting you. The community is behind you. nobody who is here today is here because they didn't have anything else they wanted to do. You're all here because you care. And so we are going to have to follow up on all of the things that are going on in the district that are not good. Now, don't get an improper picture, because what's going on in this school district is not all bad. What's going on in this school district is going on to some degree in every other school district. But we have the opportunity right now, with a new board, looking at a new superintendent, to be the ones that get on the map to say, this is a school district that changed things. I admire the young man who came forward to say he had gone through so many negative things, but that he had overcome. We need those kinds of messages going to our children. Are we giving those messages in our schools? Too often, we don't think about little things that we say and do that show children that we really don't care. And, you know, there's a saying, nobody cares how much you know. You know the rest? Until they know how much you care.
All right.
And that's what we need to do in this district, in our homes. And I'm just so glad that so many parents are here. The schools cannot do it alone. The parents cannot do it alone. It used to be we talked about those three, it's like a three-legged stool. And you have the school, you have the church, and you have the home. And the home is a part of the community. We need to just get back to some plain old village raising standards. So to the Board of Education, I'm saying to you, thank you very much for this opportunity. Thank you for the way that you respond to people when they come to you pouring out their hearts, because that's what they're doing. And we see your hearts. When you respond, we see your hearts. That's so important. Together, we can. Thank you.
No, I just want to say thank you. I had the privilege, I think some of my nieces and nephews went to Hawthorne. Now it's currently Bertram Carruthers when you were principal. And they always spoke very highly. And you've always been very professional, decent, and caring. These are some of the people that we have in our district, and some of them are doing the right thing. There's just some things we have to work out, and we appreciate it.
Thank you. Next I have Mary Martin.
I want to thank the board for having these listening tours. I've been in Wyandotte County for about 8 years, and as far as I know, they've never had listening tours. So I'm really grateful, because I have a lot of stuff on my chest today, and you give me an opportunity to get it out. Okay. You might do it, you might not. But I'm just thankful that the community gets an opportunity to vent. The first thing is that I'm a transplant here, like I said, from Colorado. And our school system is a little bit different. Your structure here is a little bit different to me. You got the unified government under a charter. You got Piper and Bonner Springs and all this and that. I didn't have that in Colorado. We have different districts, and as they say, that's the role that we play. Now, one thing that really concerns me, and don't think that because I'm new here, I don't know what's going on, because I'm a CASA volunteer, court-appointed special advocate for kids, been doing it for almost 20 years. So I know kids. I know kids that's been abused and neglected. That's one of my specialties. I know schools because in Colorado, I did construction. I was one of the few African-American women that built buildings, large buildings, as Donald Trump would say, large, 37-floor buildings. You know, one of the few women. I'm a glass glazer by trade. I do windows. So I felt that because I had that skill, I need to give back to my community, to my youth, to make sure that they had that opportunity. Now, I wasn't a laborer. I was an owner. So when the building was sold after it was built, I had to sign off on it. Not my boss. I was the boss. I'm just saying, not to brag, but it's important because we need to give that to our babies. So when I came here to Wyandotte, I know that, to me, it seemed like a lot of our kids wasn't given that opportunity to do other things other than go to high school, hopefully go to college. But then if you didn't have the grades to go to college or the scholarship to get you into college, you might go to technical school, KCKPS. But when I toured KCKPS, I found that in the construction arena, they was deficient. Now, okay, I might be wrong. I am looking at them from my window, but I'm thinking that they should be doing better because they were training our kids to be laborers. And that's okay, but I wanted them to be owners. So I talked to a few people here at the administration building because I know that Wyandotte was getting ready to restructure Wyandotte High School and do academies over there. And they was buddying up with the construction industry, which is right up my alley. So I tried to get into that program, and when I went and met with the principal, I'm just saying, don't take it personal. People that know me know I'm a truth teller. I'm not coming in here lying. I'm not coming in here embellishing. I'm just saying what it is. So if I offend anybody, you can take it back to them, and I'll deal with it later. When I went to the high school, met with the principal, it was very disheartening because you a black woman, and I get this all the time because I am a black woman, but it's like, you did what? You did it, you know, and it was like questioning my credentials. And it's like, well, maybe we don't want you here because we got Jay done. Now, the first thing I say is that the administration doesn't have to have such a relationship with Jay Dunn. They're not the only construction company in America that builds. So to have an exclusive contract with Jay Dunn, that bothers me. Because Jay Dunn doesn't have a lot of diversity. They don't have a lot of inclusion. And they're not trying to bring a lot of us's in. They're not doing training programs for our babies. They do have that academy over there at Wyandotte High School now, but they're training kids to be laborers. So I'm going to just break it down to you. If you want your kids to be on the plantation and a slave all their life, let them go over there and do that. But if you want them to be great people, owners, and can move anywhere in the world and do it, like me, then you want them to do something different. You don't want them to just do that. I'm just breaking it down to you because that's what you asked for. So next is that, like I said, I'm a CASA volunteer. So I'm very concerned about the foster care system here in Wyandotte. I'm very concerned about the different facilities that the US 500 goes into, where you have kids that are youth that do wrong. So you have them in certain facilities, lockdown facilities, but the US 500 still goes in and teaches them. You know what I'm talking about. Then they have another level where the kids are just in foster care, but rebel because they don't like foster care. You know, they want to go home to mama or daddy. So they act out. They're abusive. They hit them, they cuss them out. So that gets them in another facility. And that really concerns me because, to me, the school, being Wyandotte 500, we're the front line. We're the front line for those babies because after the city comes in and takes those babies, then they still got to go to school. And one sister in here was talking about mental health. Well, that's it in a nutshell. You know, we got all these babies that are dysfunctional because of bad parenting. Parents might be on drugs. You got a big PCP problem here. I didn't even know nothing about PCP until I came to Wyandotte. Didn't know, didn't hear. But I seen a sister that walked in one of those child advocacy meetings on PCP while she was talking about getting her kids back and parenting her kids. And I never seen anything like it. I'm telling her, they gonna take your babies. And it's like, okay, I don't want them to, but she was high. You know, them drugs has got our community. So until we wake up and we want to deal with some mental health issues, so that comes my other point. See, for me, I got a mama. She's still living, praise the Lord. And she got a big mouth like me, praise the Lord. And she teaches over Stony Point South, okay? So she gets all these issues. And my point is that those kids come in off the chain in kindergarten. Off the chain. I'm saying that marijuana, just easing off of them. Kids, because you know their mom and daddy done did marijuana before they go to school or go to work. And them kids come in high. They want to walk the tables. We're talking kindergarten. Now, that's my second point. We need social workers. We need mental health people in our school. Y'all got to quit playing. You know, I don't care what the funding is. I don't care what the state does. We need to set aside money, especially in those elementary schools. Because I think that once they get to middle school and high school, they're gone. They're gone. It's very hard to save young adults once they get used to doing wrong and doing bad. Some of them you can save, don't get me wrong, but most of them you can't save by then. You got to get them babies when they first start out. And you got to get them at the kindergarten, elementary school level. You got to have somebody in there for intervention. So when you see that baby coming in and you know that mom and daddy is doing drugs, whatever it may be, then you got to pull their coattail, come on the side, baby, and we got to help you out. So that takes not just the child intervention, family intervention. You know, you can't do one without the other. You need that complete package. And I'm saying that y'all need to allocate money to do that. I know in a lot of the schools, they don't have that. You know what I'm saying? They don't have the tools that they need. I know at Stony Point South, they can't do laundry. Y'all don't think laundry is a big deal because y'all can go to the laundromat if you ain't got one at home. But some of them kids come in there black. Their clothes ain't been washed in a year. And then you put that on the teachers to deal with that. So my mama, I'm just saying, she comes home with laundry of them babies to try to clean their clothes. Some of them don't even get clean, they're that dirty. I think that's horrible. I think that's disgusting. For a big institution like this administration that can't take care of them babies and have a laundromat in that school, for if the babies have a mistake, because these are young babies, they're going to do that, they can't get clean. You know, see, to me, we're talking about mental health, self-esteem building, and you want to break somebody down. That's what you do. Mm-hmm. You keep him dirty, you keep him messy. You know what I'm saying? Those are just some critical areas that I see that could be, what's that sister said? Approved now. Where's that doctor? You the doctor. You said do it now. Yeah, those are easy things that you can do, to me. Now, we have a big child violence program that just came into Wyandotte. I don't know if y'all know, $1.9 million. I don't know how we're going to spend it. I'm on the advisory board. It's for child prevention. And even though I've been in CASA all those years, we're still trying to navigate what is really going to help our babies here. You know? Help our babies to be good citizens that are in foster care system that have done wrong, like shoplifting. You know, here, if you get caught shoplifting, you might be in that detention center down there as a juvenile. You might be in the short term, but if they evaluate you wrong, you might be in there long term to where they send you to the PICA. You know, I don't know if y'all know that because y'all, everybody here is new. Two of them ain't here at all. You know, but I'm just saying that we really have to be critical. Because, see, I hate it when we got our babies' lives. See, all my babies is grown. I'm an old lady. All my babies is grown. Grandkids is coming up. So it makes a difference. But I still want us to have good citizens. I want us to be productive citizens. I want us to get the good out of this country that we can get. And I think that if we're a public, educating administration, then that's what we need to be about doing. If you got public dollars, you have to talk to me. You need to have these listen to it because it's our public dollars. And then you need to get busy because it's our public dollars. It's our tax dollars. I ain't in for y'all sitting back, chilling. We gonna get to it, you know. I'm with the sister. We need to do it now. So I hope you heard me. I hope you understood. And I'm with that, the Reverend done left, but we do need praying because to heal us, see the sister girl here, I know her real good. My mama know her real good, the board member, but she's like, you know, we are not well. We're not well as a community. We're not well as a nation. So we have to own that and try to heal us, and especially work with our babies doing that. So God bless you.
I want to thank Ms. Martin. We've had many conversations, myself and her mother, and they're both very concerned about our community, and they're willing to volunteer, do whatever we need to do to help our kids. And that's important because I think, like myself, I don't have any children, but I do care about what happens. And I know I'm going to be a senior citizen, and I want somebody to help me and reach out. So we want to help and make sure our babies are prepared. Thank you.
Just a couple more people here. I want to try and give them a chance to talk. We have one YouTube comment from Kristen Maxwell says, has the district done any research on implementing trauma-informed care practices? And then I have Chuck Green. You certainly can do it from back here. I'll bring the mic back to you.
Hi, guys. My name is Chuck Green, and I'm one of the co-founders of the Alcott Art Center. We're right on 18th Street by I-70. And, you know, we've been to all 4 of the listening sessions so far. And I've come away with a variety of different thoughts on it. And it seems to me that concerning some of the things that were talked about today, you know, we all have issues in our lives. And a lot of times it's easier for us to maybe put all the blame on other people. And all of the things that have been brought before this board, I don't think you're going to be able to tackle every one of them. You know, it's unrealistic to think you can. But one of the points that was made is that we need more people involved with the school district. Now, the PTA has had strong times, weak times, and the main reason they were strong was when people decided to step up, give of themselves unselfishly, and dedicate their time while they're involved to making life better for others. And I would recommend, if people do have issues with the school district and want to make a change, that that's a good place to start. I think naming anybody and putting sole responsibility for anybody's detriment, I think is a travesty. I know you guys, a lot of you don't know what we're doing right now. And not to talk about Alcott, but with the listening sessions, when we started on the very first one, we decided to make a video for you guys. And we've been interviewing people, asking them what they're thinking of the listening sessions and what they want to see come out of it. So, if anybody wants to get with us and give us a 30 to a 50-second clip, we'll be glad to videotape it and everything, but we want them to know that they have an opportunity to tell you what they might not have wanted to say here. Sometimes being put on the spot is just too much for people to deal with. And they don't want to be looked at as the bad guy bearing bad news, but they want to make a change. I personally, I'm a Kansas City, Kansas product. Went through the school district, graduated from Wyandotte in '75. Go Bulldogs. And I also went to Donnelly College for a little while, took an entrepreneur's training course, went on through programs in Kansas City to take a test with the IBEW and became an apprentice, which trade schools are really good. Some people can't learn in college, And learning on the job is a great thing sometimes. So I was able to do that. I went through the apprenticeship and accomplished becoming a journeyman electrical high-power lineman. Went through many things, death-altering things. Came out and had to replace a guy that fell off a pole in the middle of the winter. All the blood was still at the bottom of the pole, and my job was to go up and do what he didn't do.
Oh, wow.
So I've had things occur in my life that have made me look at things a little differently. So once upon a time, we got, as a neighborhood, I say, we got a chance to obtain Alcott to give our community a better purpose. And after we decided to become an art center and we started having exhibitions, we were contacted from a young man from Schlegel, incredible young artist. And I remember it like it was yesterday. He said, you know, I want a chance. I want to be able to be better so that I've got an opportunity for me to get off the streets and not die like my friends are dying. So we set him up with the teacher and asked him to do it pro bono. He agreed. And we thought, great things are going to happen for this young man. I have to admit, I didn't follow up. And that kind of goes back to some of our conversations. I didn't follow up, and 6 months later when I finally did, the teacher told me that he never contacted the young man. So I tried. Haven't been able to find him. Don't know what happened to him. So it's given us more resolve to make sure that we step forward and do the things that we can do. Never putting anybody else down. Anybody who knows anything about Alcott knows our motto is everything positive, nothing negative. We've had politicians come and ask us, can I use that? You know, because it denotes that you're not going to accept the negative things in life. You're just going to push forward. And that's what we've done for 17 years. And although we've had support from the school board and Dr. Lane, we've never asked the school board for anything other than just work with us. Now, we've been able to accomplish a lot of things over the years, and I'm proud to say 17 years later, we've not even asked the city for money, but we're there. 17 years. And you ask yourself, well, how much money do you get paid for doing this? I mean, you know, I hear about salaries for teachers. For us, it was one of those things that had to happen. Our community was ridden with crime and nothing really positive in our area whatsoever. Old abandoned truck stop, no-tell, motel. And we needed something positive. And when we got that opportunity to run with it and came up with the idea of an art center, you know, it was one of those things that we just thought, you know, there's not much controversy in art. It opens doors for so many people. And how are we going to accomplish doing this when we have no money? And it goes back to what was said earlier. You know, you have to do it whether you get paid or not, because it has to be done. We've exhibited probably close to 500 kids or artists' work. A lot of them kids, a lot of them local KCK kids. Our first exhibit of this year is second Saturday this month, 14th at 6:30, and we're exhibiting close to 60 kids from the KCK school district. Nobody's paying us to do it. We're doing it because it needs to happen. And I've heard about all the different programs that people want to have in the schools. I applaud you. It's one of those things that has to happen. And whether you get paid or not, what are you willing to do to benefit others? I've learned since we've been doing these little video snippets that actually when Dr. Lane, and I didn't learn it from her, but when she came in as superintendent and some new board members, they did exactly what you're doing because they wanted to make life better for everybody. And I can tell you from the people that I've interviewed, and when y'all get a chance to see the video, I've got several spinal cord damage problems, and so I shake a lot, so the video is going to shake a lot. That's what you get. But, you know, we came away with the feeling that people want you guys, as the school board, to look at the progress that's been made. Sometimes in elections, people think, well, I got elected in, so it's a mandate. It's not necessarily a mandate on your views. It's maybe just people have seen the same names forever and would like to see maybe some new ideas. From my own perspective, having raised kids in the school district over here, one graduated Wyandotte and the other from Sumner, in which I'm very proud of both of them. But they needed to know there were options for them, just as the people that we're dealing with need to know there's options. So when the listening tour started back then, they wanted to make a big difference. And over the years, they've grown in leaps and bounds. There's been several new things come up, a number of new schools built that hadn't been done for many, many years. New schools or schools that are going to get a bunch of work done on them now. And a lot of things put in place that I don't think you guys really want to take all the time to try to totally redo or throw out everything that's been put in place for you. I think, personally, working with the good and throwing out the bad's a good thing. I don't have any problem with that. So I'm wishing you the best of luck. And if any of you or all of you would like to do a little video with us and tell us what your hopes are that comes out of these listening tours, I'd be honored to take that video. And I wish you the best of luck. Thank you.
Thank you. We've got two more people. Reverend Terry Bradshaw.
I'll be quick. I serve as senior pastor of Empowerment Temple in Kansas City, Kansas, and we are on 5th Street, and we just purchased a very large property on 2601 Garfield. One of the reasons I'm here, I am a millennial, a young man, and I see a great need in our school district for change. And to piggyback off what the gentleman just said, one of the things that frustrates me, it seems like we want to lower the bar and just kind of go with the flow and not hold people accountable and everybody's happy, the world doesn't work that way. And if you're going to be a leader, as a pastor, people critique me, say things to me, and it's needed. It has to happen. So we can't do the kumbaya all the time. Sometimes we have to roll up our sleeves, say things that may ruffle feathers, but that will bring real change. And that's what I'm about. Our generation is ready to see real change. We cannot go with business as usual anymore. And I respect every person on this board. I think you guys are amazing. However, we got to do something. I'm headed to Washington High School when I leave here. Several students from that school go to my church. And I'm going to tell you now, if we don't get ahead of something, do something very soon, we're going to be in great crisis and we're going to be on national news. Those are the facts. And these are coming from students, gang members who I'm very involved with. This summer, I'm very concerned about the climate in our city amongst our youth. I have not seen it this way in years. And so we got to figure out a way. I think I would like to propose, if we can, for you all to meet with the clergy of the city behind closed doors so we can figure out a way to get us back into the schools figure out a way so we can help you guys and help these students. Secondly, let's have a closed meeting with students. Let the students speak directly to you. No parents, the parents can be there, the clergy can be there, the community can be there, but let the students just speak, because there's a growing frustration. And we know when young people get frustrated, they may not have the same patience or the same control as we have as adults. And I can tell you prophetically, Wyandotte County is just on the brink of some very negative things getting ready to take place if we don't get ahead of them. And so I want to be a part of the change, but at the same time, I want to also apologize for many of our churches. This place should be filled. But I'm going to tell you, if I could be honest, I don't like time-wasting meetings. We got to get more structure in these meetings. We can't just have people just ramble on for minutes and minutes. We got to get structure and take advantage of the time that we have. As an educated black man sitting here, it's frustrating because my time is valuable. I know everybody in here has heavy schedules. And once, after about 4 or 5 people talking about absolutely nothing that has to do with the school board, you lose my interest. You lose my interest. So we gotta be very strategic in what we do, and we have a short window of time to do what we need to do. We're in a post-civil rights era, and these are the facts. One of the reasons why we're in this situation is because many of the successful black people that grew up in Wyandotte County are no longer living in our communities. They're gone. It doesn't mean they don't care about the community, but they've removed their children. And so that generation that we had to hold us up, they are now scattered. Same with the black church. Many of my members no longer live in this community. We have to figure out a way to get them to come back. They may not ever live here again, but let's use some of those resources. Some of them are very high up in corporate America. They can come back and help us. My last point is this. I was at Schlegel High School maybe about a month ago, and I noticed, I was like, where are all the pictures in the gymnasium of successful athletes that have come through this school? And I went there with Joseph Macklin, who's one of the top producers in the world, also was a great athlete in this district. And he said, man, I went to my school and they don't have that. We got to figure out a way to show these kids pictures of other young adults and young people and older people as well that have come out of this district that are now successful, and have some type of legacy tour where they come into the schools and talk to them and get some of our successful people to come back and pour back into these students, because many of them feel like if I make it to 19 years old, that's a plus, especially our black males. I talk to them every day in the streets on 5th Street. Many of them, I had a young man tell me yesterday, Pastor, if I make it to 17, that's a goal in my family. We got to figure this thing out, and we have to ask some tough questions. I know that we want to pat everybody on the back. That day is over. We're going to have more funerals. If we don't, we're going to see more crises. And I would like to see us not lower the bar. I just told my church last Sunday, we would not lower the bar in this community. We are striving for excellence. I've been the pastor for 2 years. In those 2 years, we purchased 2 blocks of land. We are now getting ready to purchase 6 homes in that area. We intend to be the example. However, we have to instruct our children about excellence. We don't have to lower the bar for them. We don't have to say because we're in the urban core, hey, let's just do what we can. Let's have a spirit of excellence. I was in Olathe, Kansas yesterday. They don't talk about, oh, well, let's maybe we can do this, or we can kind of do this. They said, we're going to do this. And so that type of verbiage, it becomes more attractive. And again, I want to thank you for this time. I want to thank you guys. I know everybody here is striving to do their best, but as a pastor, whatever I can do, my doors are open. You can call me at any time, and I'm willing to help you guys with this change. Thank you.
Okay, the last person I have is Dr. Terry Bigley.
Big B is fine. Yes, I have 4 children who've gone through the school district, 2 from Washington, 2 from Sumner. I have 4 grandchildren in this district. I also work in this district. I hear the plea that we must do something. My plea is that we do something that we know that will work. The time for, let's try this, let's try that, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, needs to be over. So what I have for you is information about things that do actually have a large evidence base to support them. I share those with my colleagues. I share those with the administration in this district. And because I respect you, I'm sharing them with you as well. We've put these into place at Carruthers, and Ms. Struzo has reported that you visit the school on a regular basis, Ms. Brownlee Page. She very much appreciates that. We put it into place in Francis Willard, and this is what we've noticed: 82% reduction in office referrals. And what we know about that is an office referral and an out-of-school suspension is the #1 predictor of a child's involvement in crime, in incarceration later in their life. What's predictive of later incarcerations? 2 out-of-school suspensions. Count them, 2. That child is 5 times as likely to be incarcerated. So we have to find things that work more than out-of-school suspension. We also know that out-of-school suspension policies are disproportionately applied to children of color. It is 4 times likely that a child of color is suspended than a Caucasian child for the same offenses. Whatever's in place, we know that what works and that we can change those statistics. So I bring that information to you today. I know that you work with phenomenal administrators who listen to this and want to do a good job with our children. They spend a lot of time and they spend a lot of tears. So I share this with you, and I thank you very much for this opportunity.
Okay, having said that, that wraps up the listening tour for today, and this is the end of our 4th session of the listening tours. Just because the listening tours are over does not mean you can't still continue to provide information to the district, and we do welcome any input we can get. Thank you very much, and have a great day.
Yeah. She said,